Hello everyone, it's Omae and welcome back to the brand new video. So we have a new KIZUNA Legend Roger. This is not a Super Sugo unit, and I must just preface this video by saying I try to be as positive about these characters as possible, but it's so difficult for me to actually protect this Roger, bro, because he is such an awkward legend in the PvE sense. Anyways, actually I haven't read through his PvP stuff, so we'll go through that in the video first look. But when it comes to PvE, first off, I do think he will be the best character to run alongside the Gaban legend when he eventually comes out. And yes, he will become much better over time. He'll age like fine wine as we get more Roger pirates. And I'll discuss this in a future video, right? Where we talk about some of these characters we could be seeing. We could actually be seeing a V2 bullet legend, because of course V1 works with strength quick int. This Roger's a dex unit, and we do have the former Roger Pirates tag in the game now. So there are a lot of new characters we could be seeing on the horizon, and we'll talk about that in a different video. But for now, what is his performance actually looking like? Now, there's so much incoherency here. He is a dex/a striker unit, and he does have the Sabaody Archipelago Arc tag. I mean, are we being serious here? This is not going to be helpful, but he does have the former Roger Pirates tag, so that's great. So he's giving cooldown to slasher and striker units, 2 turns. It's cool, but then he is giving the rest of the captain ability to dex and int units. So if you're running purely dex int and you don't have a unit with slasher or striker class, they're not getting any cooldown. So there's already incoherency here. But he will also reduce crew HP by 10% at the end of the turn. Now, in some situations, if the enemy gives you stun debuff on stage 2 of a treasure map, for instance, then at the end of the turn this will get rid of the stun debuff. And there are some units that work with lower HP, but at the end of the day, in most cases, this is actually gonna be a annoyance, a hindrance, so that you'll have low HP. You won't be able to survive death hits and instant burn, which are in almost every piece of content, right? But anyways, he is getting 6x attack multipliers when slots match, so that's really not much of a requirement. 5.25x otherwise, 1.25x HP. And then dex int/a striker units get dex int and tandem counted as matching. That's fairly average. Beneficial orb enable. Recovery would have been way better. I mean, almost every ship makes tandem counted as matching already. And then if a dex or int unit uses a crit potential ability and hits a critical strike, then reduces all enemies threshold by 3 turns and gives the enemy -5% resistance to your dex and int units, which is essentially just extra 5% damage, right? So this is really good utility. 3 turns is nothing to scoff at. We have a lot of units nowadays with guaranteed crit. Of course, the units that you are attacking with to remove the threshold, they will be doing basically no damage, because the enemy will still have that threshold until the final combo hit, which is when crit activates. So for instance, if a unit has 4 combo hits, they are the unit you're using to get through the threshold or to remove it, then only their 4th combo hit will actually do damage, which is really bad, of course. But it is still great utility at the end of the day. Resistance down, it goes through immunities, which is kind of cool. But at the end of the day, this won't really be giving you a lot of damage until the final tap, because it will be stacking up. Every unit hits a crit, this will stack up. Remember, it can stack. And then units that are Roger Pirates will get an extra 1.25x attack, going up to about a 7.5x captain. And then I really dislike this. Roger Pirates only get paralysis and bind reduction by 10 turns. Now, first off, paralysis reduction in captain abilities has become a lot worse over the last few months. We've seen paralysis orbs way more common than actual paralysis debuff, and this utility does not get around paralysis orbs. So in most situations, this won't actually be helping you. You'll still have to run a character that gives paralysis reduction in either the special, swap effect, or super effect. It is just not that good of a utility anymore. Bind reduction is still great, but at the end of the day, only Roger pirates are getting this. And earlier I spoke about how this unit will age like fine wine. And yes, once we have a fully established Roger pirates team, he's gonna have threshold reduction, bind reduction, and paralysis reduction, while providing a damage, implied utility for stun debuff. They are going to be useless for this guy, but he's just way too hard to use right now. We don't have enough Roger pirates. Paralysis utility isn't that great. We have this incoherency between the cooldown and the attack boosting effect. So this captain ability is in shambles. I don't think it's that good right now. But the special though is maxing out at 17 turns, 16 turns after limit break expansion. And this is really bad. I don't like this special, but I do see where they are coming from. And if you are running this guy as a friend captain, this is basically the entire special. Like, I'm just telling you right now, this is basically the entire special. 10% HP cut or 20% HP cut, 10k heal, 10 tons of special bind reduction, and gives you an orb boost. That's basically the entire special if you don't run him as your own unit, because the rest of this relies on you having either a dex support or an int support on Roger. And of course, a friend unit cannot have a support unit, right? So none of this you'll be able to get if you're running Roger as a friend captain, which is a massive issue, right? But regardless, we need to discuss this. If you have 2 or more Roger pirates on the crew, so 1 Roger pirate beside himself, because remember, they did talk about this in the notice in game, but former Roger pirates does also count as Roger pirate tag. Those are interchangeable. So Roger himself does count as one of these tags. We need 1 other character only. So this is fairly easy. And then if you have a dex support on Roger, then reduces your crew's cooldowns by 2 turns. And we also need to discuss this in a moment, because he does not resist special rewind and special bind as a sailor. You need his super class ability to remove those on himself. So even if you aren't running him as if you're running him as a friend captain, you only get access to this part of the special. But even then, you'll need to have his super class to get around the special bind. But I don't like this unit. He's so weird. So if you have a dex support, gives the cooldown, allows you to stack 2 conditional boosts of different type at the same time for a single turn, and then gives the enemy or puts a territory for slasher on the field. And this will last for 2 turns, of course, for a 2-turn burst on the super boss. So that's great. Slasher territory, of course, isn't as useful nowadays, but I do like how we're calling back to a lot of the 1-0 units who have slasher as their main priority, right? So all these 1-0 characters with the Roger pirates coming out, I believe Gaban will also be slasher striker, and I think these 1-0 units will see a lot more play, right? Especially since Odin is also going to be useful to run alongside this guy, as you will see in a moment. But either way, slasher territory, it's cool. And then if you have an int support instead, as well as meet the tag requirement, then he'll give himself 10 turns of cooldown. So he's going to go down to 6 turns of cooldown. It's very easy going to be at this point to use his special for a second time. But unfortunately, I really don't see a point in using his special for a second time. I'll speak about that in a moment. But either way, he will now give a striker territory. This is of course going to be way more helpful. And also, I didn't mention this earlier, but his special does damage in this HP cut. So there's a lot of support abilities that only activate upon a damage dealing special. Someone like the page 1 KIZUNA legend that gives striker units an attack boost when you use a damage dealing special. This is great and goes really well with him. But either way, he will give that striker territory, which is of course going to be benefiting all these Albaf units, which is great. And then if Silver's Rayleigh, Gaban, Crocus, or Odin has launched a special in this turn before Roger, then boost Dex and Int units crit damage by 50% for a turn. Now we need to talk about this. Let's talk about this. Crit The Captain Shifting Dual Roger Pirates Legend also has a massive focus on crit rate and crit damage. Unfortunately, it is not good. Like, crit damage is easily one of the worst damage boosting effects in the entire game. Not only can this not be stacked, you cannot stack crit damage buff. So if you're running this character alongside one of the only other units that can synergize with him right now, the Dual Roger Pirates Legend, there's going to be conflict. Both of them give crit damage buff. You cannot stack this. And crit potential ability is not powerful. It only boosts damage for the final combo hit. So only 25% of most units' attack is actually getting that buff. And remember, on a lot of units, crit potential ability is not guaranteed. It's usually an 80% chance. They're going to start introducing units with guaranteed crit a lot more frequently, but at the end of the day, there's a lot of units with 80% crit chance. It's not reliable, and if you have to bring another unit to buff crit rate, which Roger himself does not do, then it's going to make it a hassle to team build around that for such a small payoff. And remember, you cannot stack crit damage, so 50% for the final combo hit is just not a good look. And remember, you aren't going to be running every unit with crit potential ability. There will be some units without it. Your damage will suffer. A crit is usually like that extra bit of damage. If your team covers almost every other base, then you can start looking for crit damage units, but even then, it's very rarely that you actually use this. It's just not a very good effect at the end of the day. At least you don't need to have Roger as your own unit to get that effect. This will work regardless of which support unit you have on Roger, so that's kind of cool. Of course, we don't have really any good Crocuses besides that Psy rare recruit. Legend Crocus in the future, maybe, I don't know. Of course, Gaban's gonna be the main one. We have a new KIZUNA rare recruit Rayleigh, and there are some very good Rayleighs in the game, like Psy 6+ Rayleigh, who I still use almost every single month because he's so powerful. But that Rayleigh is a fighter cerebral focus unit, so he won't synergize with this Roger either. Mainly the new rare recruit Rayleigh, right? And then Odin, we have a 6+ with level limit break. He's a decent character at the end of the day, not really used too much. So we could see another Odin character in the future. Very, very strange, I know. But at the end of the day, if you don't meet this very difficult requirement to reduce the special bind and the special rewind on himself, this special is horrible if you're running him as a friend captain. Even if you're running him as your own unit, you get the double stacking conditional, the territory. It's still gonna be very awkward to use him. But at the end of the day, he is providing a lot of damage. This is quite a substantial orb boost. He's giving you the crit damage here, enemy resistance down, all these very niche damage boosting effects that don't really make much of a difference by itself, but allowing double stacking conditionals is very nice. Of course, one thing I really hate is that in most cases you're only going to be running one other Roger pirate to proc this condition, but for the super class you need to run 2 other units besides Roger that fulfill this super class ability. It's just very hard to use this character right now, and there's so much incoherency, conditions. Yes, he's healing a bit to help you with your HP, but that's really not going to help you much when you're cutting HP by 10% every single turn. PvE, I'm not convinced. Oh yeah, he's also giving you a chain additive buff for 3 turns. Okay, sure, buddy. I wish he had EX super and gave super class for both Slasher and Striker, since his special works with kind of both of them. Just a very strange unit. He does have a cool support effect. I really don't understand why they didn't just shoehorn this into his sailor abilities, because these abilities are very bad. Like, this is not all that. Why didn't you just put special bind as Sailor 1, rewind negation as Sailor 2, and giving him an actual super effect? Because this is just not good, right? So Dex and Ink units that have the former Roger Pirates tag, or the just regular Roger Pirates tag, should also work. Reduces enemies damage reduction by 2 turns and gives the captain a turn of cooldown on the final battle. Of course, this goes really well with Emu, or you can put this on like all these top lane units that want to activate twice and you're running them as the captain, then this will be great, right? But anyways, this unit will have damage limit break type. I'm assuming Dex, of course, and then Super Tandem Boost. What is the boost level here? Level 5 boost for all these tags: Roger Pirates, Sub-OD, Arc, Albath Arc, and Mythical Zone. That's pretty good. Albath Arc and Mythical Zone. Sub-OD, basically no units. Roger Pirates, we need more characters. A level 5 boost is pretty substantial, but remember, it's only level 1 at Super Tandem Boost level 1. Seems pretty average in terms of the boost level. Nothing new here. And in Rumble, okay, so this is going to be my first reaction. So he's going to be a support style character. Of course, Eunice can't just be doing one thing. He's probably going to be providing some form of debuffing or a bit of damage. But he is going to have 215 defense, 147 speed. That's pretty average, but the defense is nice. He is doing a normal attack, power attack, healing, and then another power attack. Now, this is kind of actually relevant nowadays because we do have GP bursts that like only fulfill upon normal attacks. Mainly is 12th any Blackbeard. If you're running a quick team with 12th any Blackbeard and then also a Dex team with this Roger in GP, he's very seldomly gonna actually charge that GP burst because he's only doing one normal attack. And these usually don't do much damage either way, even the power attacks, because these are heavily nerfed by enemy defense, which is just ridiculous nowadays. We have like 40 levels of defense on some teams. No matter what, even though this is 0.3x attack, 0.6x attack, it's basically the same thing. It's all gonna do very little damage. So I actually would have loved to see more normal attacks, but he is also doing an AoE heal of level 1 in a small range. Okay, that's pretty decent. He's targeting closest enemies like almost every other unit in the game, and he will evade special bind and reduce damage taken by 30% from quick. Always nice to see special bind evasion. Action bind and special bind have been there since day one, but they're still extremely annoying debuffs, so having this is nice. He is not a Pirate Rumble unit, so he doesn't have damage dealt increase, but I doubt he's going to be doing a lot of DPS in the first place. So at level 5 Rumble ability, Dex and Slasher. Maybe Slasher team will actually come back in Rumble with Gaban's release, who knows. They get attack up level 6, HP up of level 6, and then defense up of level 3. When appearing on the field, targets not including self Roger Pirate tag teammates for 30% CT reduction. And then when remaining time becomes 80 seconds or less and he is KO'd, then launches his special upon death. So 80 seconds or less, he needs to survive for those first 19 seconds, but either way, he is another deathed unit, so this could be really cool. He might be one of those characters that we want to keep at low level, a second copy of, but we'll find out in a moment. He is giving HP up and defense up though, so if you're using that strategy, it'll be a bit tough because he will provide some form of tankiness. Dex and Slasher, attack up level 6. This is decent. I mean, attack up is always good. It's about 250 attack per level, so this is about 1500 attack increase. HP up of level 6 is also about 1500. I'm not sure the difference here, I can't remember. And then the defense up is always nice to have. It's about 5 defense per level, or 25 actually. It's 5 speed per speed level, but 25 defense up per level. So this is always great. 75 defense is quite impactful. And then having 30% reduction, this is easily like the best ability here. When Gaban releases, we have more Roger Pirates. 30% is ridiculous, man. Like when appearing on the field, no strings attached, he's just doing that. So I wonder if he'll have sub-swapping mechanic. We'll see. 80 seconds or less, I'm very curious about that. Like, will there be situations where he dies before then and doesn't activate the Rumble special? Who knows? Let's see what the special's doing. 20 seconds. Okay, 20 seconds. That's one of the lowest CTs in a very long time. Targets Dex Slasher teammates for attack up level 3. Oh, we have another Caesar type unit giving permanent buffs. So attack up of level 3, as long as the enemy doesn't cleanse you of your buffs, this will be there for the entire Rumble match. So attack up level 3, speed up level 3, and then 100% chance to action bind for 15 seconds. What? He's action binding your team. It doesn't specify enemies in a range, or all enemies, which it usually does. So is this to the team? But then he's allowing you to guaranteed evade a CT delay for 15 seconds. This could be good actually, because remember, in action bind state, you cannot perform normal attacks. Units like Emu that benefit from you hitting them, this might actually be good. And also there will probably be units that in their passive state, when themselves is action binded, procs a CT delay on the enemy. That could be Gaban's ability, right? This is interesting. And with him activating so early in the match, this will not like hinder you from using your specials. By the time this action bind is gone, everyone will have their specials ready and you'll get them to activate. And he's also providing CT delay evasion. So this is actually a great counter to Emu, because Emu, when he does damage and he receives damage, he will delay. This is really good. Wow, amazing, right? And then targets not including self, dex, slasher teammates for defense up of level 2 for 100 seconds. Of course, these buffs are all going to be much lower multipliers because he is a Caesar type unit, providing multiple buffs throughout the match with his low CT that last for the full duration, right? And then when remaining HP is 1% or below, so when he activates that death hit, he's going to target dex and slasher teammates for attack up level 12 for 100 seconds, speed up of level 8. Oh my goodness, that is one of the highest speed ups we've ever seen. That's gonna be game changing, man. He might be a Caesar replacement. This might be the first Caesar replacement we've ever had. Of course, Caesar is much more versatile. He doesn't need to go on either dex or slasher teams, but on those specific teams, Caesar will be. Or could you run them both together? Remember, he's a 55 cost unit at the end of the day. He's a KIZUNA legend, so Caesar will still be nowhere near as... He won't be replaced, basically, because of how this unit's only used on 2 different teams, and he's a 55 cost unit, right? But regardless, those are massive buffs, bro. Unbelievable. And he's still giving the speed up before that, so he's stacking speed like crazy, and attack up. So great for your DPS cap. Oh, special CT speed up level 7. That's the highest in the game. That's gonna reduce everyone's CT, the amount of seconds they need to charge their special, by 21%. That is ridiculous. That is unbelievable, bro. And then when remaining time is remaining HP is more than 1%, then target self for a 99% HP reduction. Okay, so now this is concerning. He won't, if he activates very early on, say 20 seconds, of course, if you don't have any special CT speed up buff, this will activate, and then you'll be in the remaining 80 seconds and you'll get the rumble special to activate. But if Roger gets CT from other units and has a lot of special CT speed up, this will not be 20 seconds. This will be more like 15 seconds. If he activates his special, he gets one tap by the enemy, he will die in 80 to 85 seconds. The first 80 to 85 seconds of the match, right? Or not, first 15 to 20 seconds, right? He won't get the rumble special to activate upon death. So there is a very small 5-second window, I believe, where this unit could whiff, die in those first 15 to 20 seconds before he gets the on death special. But in the situation where he activates, gets his special to activate, he does large range damage. 3.5 is pretty good actually, especially with all these attacker buffs. He activates his regular special and then the on-death special and gets these massive buffs to the team. He's gonna be unbelievably good. I am impressed. I like this. He is only working on dex teams because, I mean, slashers right now are pretty much dead, but I am excited for this Roger. This is really good in terms of PvP. PvE, it is a miss, yes, but PvP side of things, I'm excited, bro. Oh my goodness. Caesar, you can run this guy with Caesar actually. Imagine running him and Caesar, getting both of these units giving permanent buffs. Oh my goodness. Because if he's dying so early on, like, he's definitely gonna die in the first 30 seconds, and then someone else comes in with a appearing on the field, CT delay to the enemy, or some form of buff or debuff when they appear on the field, then this Roger will be very, very good, right? Because he's providing insane buffs and damage, even CT reduction. I mean, he's providing the whole 9 yards. Like, yes, he's mainly a buffer, but he's also providing utility through his CT reductions. Special CT speed up is ridiculous, and then also some damage. I mean, this guy's amazing. He does have a very high defense stat. I don't know why he has such high defense, because he's meant to die so early. Like, it would have made more sense if he had like a very low defense, like an abnormally low defense, like 100 with a higher speed stat. I think that would have benefited him more. But regardless, like, this is great. He himself, it would have been interesting if like he could evade action bind that he tries to give to himself and the rest of the team. But at the end of the day, he's evading special bind. He forces action bind on himself. Now remember, action bind can actually be stacked if, while you're action binded, the enemy uses another low CT unit to action bind you, like Usopp and Lilith. That could really mess up your team, because instead of being for 15 seconds action binded, it could turn into like a 30-second action bind, and that could really mess up your team. But if you're careful about what team you're facing, I think this guy's gonna be amazing, bro. He's gonna be amazing. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. I think his PvE is a mess right now, but it has potential. I'll admit that it has potential. But I think all these crits damage that these Roger pirates work with, it's just not good, because remember, you cannot stack crit damage. So even if we get more units that give crit damage, 50%, that's all you're getting, and it's just not worth it when it's only your final combo hit that's getting that damage boost, right? But I'll see you in the next video. I will analyze the Reiju 6+, which is also really good in my opinion on the PvP side of things anyways. So stay tuned for that. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace, and I'm out.